Hi everyone, and welcome to the 9th episode of the Matchbox Restoration series. In this episode I'll be restoring the 34b Volkswagen Caravette. The 34b model was introduced in 1962. Throughout the period it was sold, it came with different wheel types, but only had one casting variation in the doors. This particular model came without the doors, as they are usually found these days. The window unit is cracked, so it will also need to be replaced. The casting itself is in quite good condition. Let's get started. I start out by drilling out both rivets that hold the seats on the inside. First I use a 3mm drill bit followed by a 4mm drill bit. While doing this, I decide to remove the base first to avoid damaging the body. The base is secured with two lips in front and in the rear. I use a fine flat screwdriver to get between the body and the base. With the base removed, I have better access to the seats. They come off the base nice and easy. Next up is the window unit. That is secured onto the body by two rivets. I gently drill them out with a 4mm drill bit. Once the rivets are removed, I can pull out the window unit. It sits rather tightly between the sides of the body because it sits in the vise, so it takes some fiddling around to get them out. Next time I'll have to remember putting the body out of the vise, as some subscribers already suggested. The only thing left on the base are the wheels and axles. I remove the axles by grinding away the small lip at the end of the axles. This step is a bit tricky on this model, because the base sits quite close to the area where my Dremel tool needs to be. As you can see, the axles are rusty and it prevents the wheels from moving. That's why I have to pull them off with a bit more force than usual. Before paint stripping, I need to mix some colors. I'll start off with the base. The green X5 Tamiya acrylic paint will be the base for this color. As it's darker than the color I'm looking for, I add some white X2 Tamiya acrylic paint from the start. After that, I add the thinner to the mix and I'll start stirring the paint for the first time. Surprisingly, this gives me a color that matches the original color quite nicely. After trying the paint onto the seats, I check if it also matches the base color. Looks good to me. Up to the next one. The body color is a lot lighter than the base, so I start off by mixing the white X2 Tamiya acrylic paint with the green X5 I used for the base. This color turns out to be too cool, as in a bit too blue looking. So I decide to add another green into the mix. To be honest, this color took me quite some time to get right, as you can see in this shot of me testing the paint onto the body. I added some yellow to get a warmer green and a whole lot of white to keep the lightness of the color I needed. It does look a bit brighter than the original color, but at this point I figured this was as close as I would get with the paint I had available. As you might have seen in the previous episode where I restored the 20C Chevrolet Impala taxi, there was another model in the glass jar when paint stripping the model. That model was the Volkswagen. For those that haven't seen it yet, there's a link to it in the corner of this video. I simply put the models in a glass jar and add some boiling water. Then I add the caustic soda and let the mixture do its work. After the paint has come off, I pick the parts out of the jar and rinse them off with some water. After paint stripping, I'm fitting the new doors for the first time. One door seems to barely fit the hinges. I hope this won't be a problem later on when putting everything together. The rivet posts of the seats are drilled out with my drill press, as I figured it would be a pain and quite dangerous to do this with a hand drill. I'm using a 2mm drill bit for these rivet posts, as I will be using 2.5mm screws to secure the seats back into position. I'm using the measure on the drill press to check how deep I drill the holes so I don't drill through the seats. After the rivet posts are drilled out, it's time to put on a base coat. I'm using the Tamiya white surface primer as the body will have a light color anyway. When the body is done, I prime the base. After that, I apply a base coat on the seats. Because there's no separate interior work to be done, I just have to wait until the base coat has dried to go to the next step, painting. I start with a light coat, followed by some thicker coats of paint. Then I paint the base in the darker green color. This darker color goes on much easier than the lighter color. I don't know why exactly, but some colors seem to be easier to apply than others, even while using the same type and brand of paint. Next up are the trim details. I'm a bit unsure whether this model came with or without the headlights trimmed. After asking opinions through my channel's community tab, I decided to paint both the Volkswagen logo and the headlights. Again, I'm using the chrome silver X11 Tamiya acrylic paint, together with a new brush I bought. It has a perfect shape to apply the trim details. I remove the rust from the axles by sanding them with some emery paper. This makes them look nice and shiny again. The axle hub gets sanded too by moving it over a piece of emery paper. Now the wheels and axles are ready to be put back onto the base. I create a new small lip on the end of the axle to secure the wheel onto the axle. Many people commented that my tool creates a smaller axle end than the one on the other side of the axle, but that's intentional. If you look at the original axles, there's always a big axle end and a smaller one. Time to put everything together. I'll start by gluing the window unit in place with epoxy glue. I mix the two parts together and apply the glue to the inside of the body. After that, the window unit goes in and I apply some pressure with two cotton buds. When the glue has dried, I continue by gently putting the base back onto the body. When trying to fit the doors back on, I noticed the problem that already came up halfway in this restoration. One door doesn't fit into the hinges of the body and base, although everything seems to be in the right place. At this point, I see no other solution than to file off a part of the door and create a new piece that is a bit longer than the original, so it fits into the hinges. I'm going to use a part of a paper clip for this. Too bad I have to make this adjustment at this stage of the restoration, but I see no other way than to start filing. I use some fine tweezers to hold the small piece in place while I apply some superglue. I have to apply it quick and in the right spot from the first time, as this glue will set in a couple of seconds. Luckily, everything goes to plan and the new piece sits in the right place. After some paint touch-ups, the door is ready to be mounted. Perfect. And that's it. The Volkswagen Caravette started off with a broken window unit, missing doors and a lot of chipped paint. After repainting it, replacing the window unit and adding new doors, it's ready to go camping again. This was a challenging restoration because of the many parts this casting contains. In the end, I'm happy with how it looks. Please let me know what you think and hit the subscribe button to get notified when I'm uploading a new video. Also keep your eye on the community tab of my channel where I'll let you know what I'm working on. If you'd like to have some more exclusive insights and previews of my next restorations, please join me on my Patreon page. And as always, thank you for watching.